When was the last time this school has checked on your mental well-being?
Never.
Never did?
They never did?
No.
Never? They never did, right? They never did? Alright, so what does that mean?
I mean, I feel like I just feel like they don't really care about it.
Do you think your school provides adequate support for your mental well-being? No?
Out of the students surveyed at Reed, only 30% thought the school gave adequate support for their mental health. 40% of the students surveyed claimed they need more mental support from the school at one point in time. In spring of 2020, 1 in every 10 students in Washoe County seriously considered committing suicide. Since then, students have endured a global pandemic and have been isolated from friends and family. Mental health has decreased dramatically, and there is not enough support in schools. Nevada Public Schools average only one social worker for every 8,730 students. The recommended ratio for the USA is 1 to every 250 students. Wellbeing checks are not required in any school throughout Washoe County, and our ratio counts is over double what it should be. There is clearly not adequate support for the schools in Washoe County School District, and this needs to change.
One solution that would be easy to implement is wellness centers. A wellness center is a room dedicated to mental health within middle and high schools. These rooms are designed to give support to students both physically and mentally. Research shows a multitude of benefits of wellness centers in schools, including increased attendance, reduced ER visit, positive school climate, and better promotion of health in schools. Wellness centers allow eligible students to enroll in health insurance and offer services for at-risk students, as well as building local partnerships to support expanded health services. Our community offers great services to improve mental health, but often students do not know about these services and have no way to get connected. Wellness centers are strategically designed to increase levels of dopamine and endorphins, in turn reducing stress. Certain colors, lighting, atmosphere, natural plants, and other interior design elements are specifically proven to help reduce stress and create a welcoming environment.
Contrast to the cold hallways and classrooms of public schools, the welcoming environment provides a safe place for students. The room will be filled with resources for students to unwind and find support. A counselor or social worker would be available to meet with students who need help. Wellness centers would be in a small room around the school, connected to a public space such as a library. A counselor or social worker needs to be on staff, whose only job is supporting and connecting students with the resources that they need. Washoe County School District counselors are overrun with work involving creating school schedules and managing the school's time. Wellness centers are a new solution, and research is still being done on their effectiveness in reducing mental health issues. But they have been implemented in various schools in the state of California and have produced hopeful results when compared to schools without wellness centers. More research on the effectiveness of wellness centers can be found in the attached links.
We need to change the stigma around mental health to protect Washoe County students, and we can start with wellness centers. Wellness centers create a welcoming environment which students can get resources needed to combat mental health issues facing them today, such as depression, increased anxiety, and stress.
Thank you for your time.
Hello. This is our proposal for the Microsoft Give Back Challenge. First, let us tell you who we are. We are a group of high schoolers attending Reno High School. Our names are Amaya, Shira, Cooper, Sophia, and Jordan. We are participants in our high school's CTE engineering course.
Now, on to our problem. In our community, 9.1% of households do not have a car. There are 15.8% of children who live below the poverty line, and 46% of households who receive SNAP benefits have children. These statistics, along with our experience in the school system, show how hard it can be for students to get to school because of lack of vehicles and other resources. Now, you may be thinking that we already have a solution to this problem. Buses, right? Well, recently, the school bus system has been experiencing serious problems in our district. Students were often significantly late to school and were forced to wait up to an hour after school for their buses. This created serious uncertainty with students' schedules, as late buses were often only announced a few minutes before the school day ended.
Eventually, without enough drivers to get to school, our district resorted to putting zones on a rotating bus schedule, meaning that several students are without buses every few weeks. Unfortunately, this also means that these schools are without many of their students, too. Any student who relies on their bus or who struggles to get to their bus stop as they have been moved to significantly less convenient places are stuck without a way to get to school without help from others. Our proposed solution is a Bike to School program, where students can rent out bikes to use to get to school on their own. Our community has a plethora of safe bike paths for students, especially around schools and urban areas. The renting process would be similar to that of school instruments or textbooks, where the bike is attached to their student ID number, but students would be required to complete a safety training course before they are allowed to use their bike, provided by the school to ensure the student's safety on the road.
Then, students could use their bike to ride along from school and for their own leisure. As incentive for students to participate in the program, students could also have the option to waive required PE credits if they track a certain amount of mileage using an odometer attached to their bike. In addition to providing easier access to school and the potential to waive PE credits, this program would also help teach students healthy habits from a young age and encourage them to bike places more often later in life. Nearly a third of adults in our community are obese, and teaching students healthy habits as teens could help lower that statistic. The biggest effect of our program, however, would be a sense of independence for the students who may otherwise fear their bus being late, missing their bus, or not being able to get to their bus because there is no bus at all. Additionally, this would seriously decrease the amount of stress on parents, who often can't react to rapidly changing bus schedules. Giving students this independence over their own schedule will not only be good habits for students' future, but also give them confidence to take charge in their own schedule as adults.
Thank you for listening.
Nevada is dry, extremely dry, and while we may not get as much attention as our southern region, northern Nevada has our own problems with water scarcity and overuse. We've also been fostering a moderate economic crisis with a poverty rate of 13% and climbing. We propose a solution of sorts that at the very least will ease our environment and our community.
What we are trying to do is supply as many low-income households as possible with low-cost, high-efficiency shower heads to combat the effects of climate change and overuse of water.
There are roughly 272,000 people in the Reno-Sparks area. About 13.5% of those people are considered to be below the poverty line, and at 3 people per household, that leaves us with roughly 12,000 households to supply. At $10 per shower head, that puts us out of our price range, so what we're going to do instead is try to supply 1/10 of those homes with shower heads. With tax, shipping, storage, and such, that leaves the goalpost at $12,000 to supply 1,200 homes.
Besides water use, these heads lower your water and heat bill along with increasing water pressure.
Your average head outputs about 2.5 gallons per minute. Our low flow heads are adjustable, but at the lowest, the output is 1.5 gallons per minute. That's nearly half of an average head.
The national average length for showers is 8 minutes. Assuming that a person takes a shower every day with a 2.5 gallon per minute head, that person would use 7,300 gallons in a year. If we do the same with a low flow shower head, that comes out to 4,350 gallons per year. That saves almost 3,000 gallons per year, enough to fill a bathtub 83 times or flush a toilet 1,800 times. 3,000 gallons multiplied by a city's worth of people will greatly affect all facets of life in our region.
Excluding acquisition of funds, distribution would be the most time-consuming and labor-intensive part of this project. Worst case scenario, we'd have to organize a group of volunteers to go door to door asking people to sign up, but logistics would be a nightmare. The more preferable alternative would be to contact the Truckee Water Authority and attempt to set up an application-based system similar to NV Energy's Qualified Replacement Program. This would allow people who really need new appliances to get them faster with no overlap of households that either don't want or don't need new shower heads. Overuse of water is one of the main driving factors in climate change, especially in this dry region, and unfortunately it seems to be relatively unknown.
In this area, lower water use would mean fuller lakes, cleaner water, and a better defense against fire season.
More water would mean a more livable habitat for our animals and allow plant life to recover faster from fires. More water is good for everything and more money is good for everyone. This project will be a net positive for every person and thing in this region and in this world.
Hello, my name is Caden Custer.
My name is Charlie Parks.
And my name is Blake Malizia. We are energy technology students from Edward C. Reed High School.
The problem in our community that we are identifying is the extremely high cost of housing.
As the cost of housing goes up in a community, people will not be able to afford to live there. This mainly causes a less educated and lower income individuals to move further away from a city.
Not only does this create a massive equity gap, but moving further away from main city markets may be stopping people from working in locations with higher wages. This hinders the ability for employers to find workers and ultimately decimates the economy.
In January 2022, Washoe County home prices were up 26.7% compared to last year, selling for a median price of $539,000. Our cost of housing in our community has increased significantly.
For the average cost of housing in Nevada, the mean is $403,107. The national average is $374,900.
This means that the average price of housing in our local area is $135,893 above the state average and $164,100 above the national average.
It is insanely expensive to live in this area. A local newspaper, the Reno Gazette-Journal, supports this point by stating that Reno's surging housing costs place it among the most expensive metros to live in the nation.
We must find a way to bring this cost of housing down in order to limit our equity gaps and strengthen our economy. Luckily, we have a great solution.
Our solution is turning to a new way to make homes. This new way is 3D printing. Now we know that it is extremely unusual, but there are some amazing benefits to this type of housing.
There are many benefits to 3D printed homes. First off, it takes several months to construct a conventional house. With 3D printed housing, houses can be built within days. Europe's first 3D printed structure, the BOD, only took 22 days to create on their first attempt, and this was reduced to just 3 days after a few adjustments were made. A picture of this house is shown below.
Another benefit to 3D printed housing is it is more sustainable. On average, the construction of a new 2,000 square foot home generates over 8,000 pounds of construction waste. When building a 3D printed house, a printer will know exactly the exact amount of materials needed to construct the house. This means there will be very little, if any, extra materials wasted when building these houses.
The reduced cost is one of the most important benefits, especially when considering our issue of high housing prices. The cost to build an average-sized 3-bedroom house with conventional building methods is from $250,000 to $320,000. Building the same home with 3D printed technology would cost 20 to 40% less. So that same 3-bedroom house would presumably cost between $140,000 to $240,000 to build when using 3D printed technology.
There are many benefits to 3D printed housing, such as less time to construct, the houses being more sustainable, and most importantly, to solve our issue, reduced costs.
Investing in 3D printed houses could drastically impact our community in a positive way. This will reduce the cost of housing, which will decrease the equity gaps and also improve our environment and economy.
Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Ryan Syed and I'm a junior at Reed High School. The issue I chose to target is homelessness. I chose homelessness because I've seen the problem firsthand during my volunteering at Reno Burrito Project. which is an organization that hands out food, clothes, water, and other essentials to the homeless in downtown every Sunday. Homelessness has been a problem in Reno that has only been exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the 2021 point-in-time count that was conducted on February 4th, 2021, there are 780 individuals unsheltered, 697 individuals in emergency shelters, and 231 individuals in transitional housing. This is an 875% increase since 2017. There are numerous organizations and programs that seek to help the homeless or potentially homeless. For example, there's the Reno Cares Campus, the Eddie House, the Hope Team, and many more. However, each of these places requires specific qualifications in order to use them. The Reno Cares Campus, for example, is only for men and couples, while the Eddie House is only for the youth. If an individual woman were to attempt to use the Reno Cares Campus, she'd be redirected to the Ours Place. These specific qualifications may cause confusion and prevent the needy from attaining the help that they need. This is the gap that my solution proposes to fill. My solution would either be to create a new organization that would conduct outreach in the greater Reno-Sparks area or boost the existing groups that do this type of work already. For example, the Reno Ambassadors. However, currently the Ambassadors only provide transportation with a singular van and only conduct outreach in downtown. The program that I'm proposing would provide a greater amount of transportation, outreach to places outside downtown, and specific information about the different resources throughout town. In order to do this, we need streamlined communication and real-time, up-to-date information with any program, organization, or group that we're trying to work with. For example, if we were attempting to provide transportation to the Reno Cares Campus, we would need an up-to-date status for how many beds are available before we actually drive anyone over there. Additionally, once the program is fully functional, we'd probably work closely with the Sparks Police Hope Team, the Reno Police Clean and Safe Team, as well as MOST, or the Mobile Outreach Safety Team, who can be called to any part of Reno Sparks to assess a person's mental health status and direct them to the appropriate resource, which is exactly the type of work that needs to happen, because a significant portion of the Reno homeless population suffer from a mental disorder or illness.